From the city of broad shoulders, this is Chicago Unscripted with CBS News Chicago's Joe Donlon.
Well, the year is coming to an end, and so is season 1 of Chicago Unscripted. I thought we'd wrap things up with a laugh. But first, a heartfelt thank you for making the launch of this little project even better than I could have hoped. I really didn't know what to expect, but I'm very happy with the response. I know you have a lot of choices when it comes to content, and I appreciate you following the show. I would ask a favor if you haven't already, but hit subscribe and leave a review if you'd like. It helps with the show's distribution and reach. We've all come to a point in our lives when we have an epiphany about work, relationships, life, whatever. We reach a point where we know something has to change, and it may be scary, it may be risky, but we know deep down we need to make a big decision about what's ahead. My guest has done that a few times, and it's paying off now in a world she couldn't have imagined just a few years ago. Orly KG grew up in Chicago, studied communications at Purdue, and started her career as a television reporter. That led to a couple of different career changes and eventually her own PR firm. And then one night she found herself at a comedy club, and she was admittedly a few drinks in, but she decided to take a leap of faith. With a few jokes and a dream, she started a company called Bad Moms of Comedy. She assembled a troupe of more and more comics, all women, and started playing gigs in front of PTA meetings. Next thing she knew, Orly was on stage at Zanies in Chicago. And then the Kelly Clarkson Show called, where she got to hang out with Jay Leno. She admits now, based on her limited experience at the time, she probably had no business being there, but it changed her life and her career path yet again. You're about to hear from a very smart business person who has a lot of interesting perspective about family, kids, life, happiness, chasing your dreams, and doing what's important, doing what makes you come alive. Wishing you and yours all the best this holiday season. Here's Orly KG. Orly, thank you so much for the time. How are you?
How are you?
I'm getting there.
This is opposite of your hours. Shouldn't you be like sleeping till noon or something? I mean, you have comic hours. You work nights.
I do. You're right. But you know, as I've gotten older, I've gone to bed earlier and get up earlier. And I found that works for me pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's great. That you're like my ghost of Christmas future then. This is going to happen. Okay, good.
Yeah, you just sleep less. Trust me, when you get to my age, you're just happy you wake up in the morning.
Well, we are so happy that you wake up in the morning and give us the news and give us that beautiful voice of yours. So yes, it's great to be here.
It's great to have you. I know because you've been in the business. I want to talk to you about that in a minute. But first, in all my research, how did Orly KG escape me? I don't know how you landed on that. There must be a story.
You mean me doing comedy or just my name in general?
No, just the name. Yeah, the Orly KG. What does it mean?
Well, I can't tell you. That's my secret. But that is not my last name. It is a combination of like my maiden name, middle initial, kind of thing, and I just didn't want to use my married name in case things went south.
Well, it's a great stage name, but when it comes to finding a name for yourself to perform under, that must be, a little tough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this has got to be something that's catchy.
Exactly. And I didn't want people to think I'm like copying Louis C.K. or anybody else with acronyms.
No, you don't want to copy him.
But here's the thing, Joe. My name is Orly. Like, no one's paying attention to what happens after the word Orly. Like, how many Orlys have you ever met?
That's true. None. You're the first.
Right. So I needed something that was like sharp because the first name catches people by surprise.
Huh.
Including me in 1980s when I was looking for my name on one of those like pencils or those magnets that you find.
Oh, yeah. Or the license plate that you used to put on the back of your bike.
Yeah, I got none of that. Thanks, Joe. That's great. I mean, I'm the one who brought it up, but you're the one who rubbed it in.
That's right. Sorry. So you grew up on the North Shore. Tell me a little bit about what you remember most about. You went to Highland Park High School. What is a defining moment for your childhood here?
Oh, of my childhood or my Highland Park High School? Those 18 very crazy years.
Oh, wow. Okay. This might take a little while to unpack.
Yeah. I don't know. I learned a lot about societal castes up in Highland Park of what money could get you and what not having money doesn't get you. If I'm going to be really honest, I hope things have changed since I have lived there in 20 years or 30 years. One thing I did learn is that the arts are important. I wanted to be an actress. Everybody, my mom sent me to theater camp for what she called the incurably dramatic. And, but I never really made it onto a play at Highland Park. It was really competitive. Everybody's had years of jazz and years of voice practice and years of this and years of that. And I never made it. And it was fine because it drove me to do something else. And then
which was
TV news reporting.
Oh, all right.
I'm so sorry to say that. It's not like theater, but it is kind of like theater.
Yeah, it's performative.
You have to create a script every day. You have to gather information. You have to talk to people. And so I got to turn it into something else. And I did TV news reporting for almost 10 years.
So I'll get there in a second, but let's go back for a minute. I'm curious. So you were a family of have-nots and not haves. Is that why you mentioned that?
Yeah. And you would think we were the haves and not the have-nots. And again, there's a big spectrum of haves and have-nots, right? So in Highland Park, the have-nots still have some things, I think, or at least back then. And I think I'm digging myself in a hole here and I'm trying not to. My father was a doctor. My mother was a lawyer, but they were divorced. And so there were issues of like payments and things like that. And so it felt like the have-nots. But honestly, I'm glad I had what I had because it made me work harder to get the things I want. And it also gave me a sense of what is important. So having the biggest, fanciest house doesn't make you important. Having a good family does. And having a family vacation every few months does not make you a great family. It's family time. So it was really good that, I would see all my friends do certain things and go on vacations and I'd be jealous, but then I can't say that I actually had a bad upbringing. I was loved.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. I think, of our kids, where they grew up in Portland, we had a nice house. And I thought back to when I was a kid and I grew up with not a whole lot. We were the have-nots as well. And I literally looked up the value of the house I grew up in the other day, and it was barely $100,000 today. But growing up there, I felt like we had everything we needed. Maybe not everything we wanted, but everything we needed.
There's stuff and there's stuff, right? Well, how much stuff do you need? And it's not going to fill a hole in your heart to have more stuff. It's better to have more communications with people you love and relationships and things like that. And, that's something you have to learn on your own.
Yeah. Great perspective. Let's move to college then. So you went to Purdue. I almost went there. I went and visited and ended up going to Marquette.
Wait a minute. So you almost went there. I visited and then I'm like, nah.
Well, because I went to Marquette and I could play hockey at Marquette and they had a better journalism school.
Oh, look at you with that little kiss of I had to play hockey for Marquette. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just that awesome. Yeah.
It wasn't that big a deal. It was club hockey, but we played Notre Dame. I had a ton of fun. It was a great time. I tell people all the time to play club sports if you can in college because they don't own you. It's not like you're on a scholarship working on their schedule. You get to kind of do
No, and you learned how to be in a team and you learned how to work hard and you learned how to improve and all of that. And so, no, I was just kidding with you. But no, Purdue was great. I needed a wake-up call. I grew up in a very affluent area with a lot of people like me, meaning Jewish, and I went to Purdue and there were like no Jews. I'm in the middle of a cornfield. And so I got to really be like, oh, the world is very interesting and diverse and all of that. So I loved being there.
Yeah. And it's close to home, fairly close.
Yeah. It's about 2.5, 3 hours.
So you got a degree in journalism then?
Communications, my friend. They didn't have a journalism degree, but I turned it into a journalism degree. Right.
Okay.
Marquette has a good one.
Yeah.
As you pause.
I don't know. What am I supposed to do with that?
You're like, well, I did something with it. So,
yeah. And I still can't believe they let me on TV, believe it or not. This knucklehead.
At least you have all your teeth from all the hockey. That's impressive. I don't know how many hockey players could be anchors. It's a lot of gaps.
They had a great dental program at Marquette as well, and that's how.
Smart. That's good. You should pair one with the other. Very nice.
Yeah, that's right. If we have a hockey team, we have to have a good dental school. So take me through the process here. So communications, and then you decided TV news was your path?
Yeah, I always wanted TV news. I didn't even know what I wanted to do for a living until I was a second semester senior in high school because we had a show called Giants in Action. and it was aired on the local, cable access news. And I loved it. I loved asking people questions. I loved reporting the news. I loved editing. I thought it was so cool. And so, yeah, that's what I did. And my first job was in 1997 in Maryville, Indiana, at a small PBS station. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the geographical area of Chicago, Northwest Indiana is technically in the market. So it's in Market 3, but a lot of news people don't necessarily cover down there. So they had their own station, and that's where I started.
And you went from there to where? Did you go?
I went from there to South Bend. So what does a Jewish girl from the North Shore can I please work at a Fox station in Catholic country? That was great. A lot of people wanted to convert me, didn't make it. Sorry, guys. And I was there, and then I went to an NBC station in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh, that must have been nice. The weather, at least.
The weather was great.
It wasn't. When did you realize this was not what you wanted to do?
In West Palm Beach, Florida.
How old were you at the time?
Let's see. 30.
Were you 30?
I was 30. I think there's a lot of things. I think in our 20s, we think we know everything, especially if you're a reporter, because you're asked to tell the news. So it goes to your head a little bit of I know everything. You don't know anything in your 20s. I don't even think I knew everything in my 40s, and now I'm almost 50. I'm like, do I know anything? But I don't know. It was just, I didn't like the newsroom atmosphere, and I didn't like certain aspects of it. I also did not like, I had gone through 6 hurricanes in 3 years. Right. My husband is from Miami, Florida, and he went through 1 his whole life. And then we moved there and we had 6. And I'm like, good, I think we need to leave.
Yeah. Check that box.
Yes.
So that's a big decision to make at 30. This is what I've been doing, and it's not what I want to do. So you decide to shift, and is that when you went to work for Encyclopedia Britannica?
Oh, no. You're way ahead of me. So okay. I gave birth to my son during my second year of my 3-year contract, and then became pregnant with our daughter during my 3rd year. And so it was either sign with them again and stay, or just leave without a job. And so I left without a job.
Wow.
I know, it was really scary. Because my husband is a public servant. And so I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? But it ended up okay. We moved to Chicago. I got a job at the Field Museum. That was my media relations job. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. Oh my God, I loved it there. It was so cool. And they had then it was the recession in 2008, several round of layoffs. I was on round 3 or 4. And then I went to work for Encyclopedia Britannica, and then I started my own company.
Wow. Okay. So how do you go then from that to you have this epiphany? I think it was post-pandemic, right? Where you just said, you know what, I'm going to shift gears here and do comedy.
It came as a surprise to me, actually. I love doing public relations. I love being able to help clients and people find their messaging and get their story out there and all of that. But I was getting kind of bored, and I thought that was not really good for my clients. I have a fantastic team. They're super dedicated, but I didn't have that fire every day. And I think that's a really good sign for a lot of people. If you don't have that fire every day at work, find something that's going to build that fire, because that really will help you, because it does bleed into the rest of your day. If you're not happy at work, then you're not happy at home. And if you're, things like that. So anyways, this was during the first wave of the pandemic. After it all sort of settled, my husband and I went on a double date and with a friend of his from work, and we went to the Lincoln Lodge in Chicago. And I'm going to admit it here, I was a tad intoxicated, and I went to the washroom, and they had a sign in the washroom that said, "Are you interested in taking stand-up comedy classes?" And I was like, yeah. So I took the whole sign, even though it had those little strips of paper that you could take. Right. I took the whole sign. This is for me. And I showed up a week later, and I took a class, and I loved it. It felt so freeing to be able to say something I wanted to say instead of something my clients wanted to say.
Where did you take the class?
at the Lincoln Lodge, and they have amazing classes.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's great is they have classes for both men and women. They have something called FemCom. So it's all women. They have all these different levels that you can take. The Annoyance Theater has one. Second City has one.
Sure.
Because you could be funny in a conversation with your friends, but to actually construct a joke is a little more math. It's a little more science.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that.
So yeah, you sure did. I mean, at that point, I see. I think there's a reason they put it in the bathroom of a club like that. They're counting on the alcohol courage. I can do this. Yes, let's go. Sign me up. What was the hardest part of this when you said, I'm going to do this?
Well, it was one of those, I think it was a combination of things. It was the whole thing of I was steady at my job. It was fine. There were no major hiccups. My kids were in high school, so they needed me less. And I had more time for myself to say, well, what do I want? And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was going to take a woman's dance class because I used to dance. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, let's do this first. And it just clicked for me. And the other thing is too, based on, age is amazing because you learn a lot of things, right, Joe? So I could say to myself, hey, this industry is really interesting. How can it be better? So I can use that marketing and PR background that I had, that news telling story that I have. I can find a demographic in which I can reach out to. So when I started doing comedy, you go to a lot of open mics and you go, and I'm in front of a bunch of 20-year-olds that are talking about Pornhub and weed. And I'm talking about how scary a 30-year mortgage is. And they look at me like I have 7 heads. And so I was taking a walk with a friend of mine and I said, I think I want to start a group called Bad Moms of Comedy. And she's like, I'm in. Whatever you say next, I am in. So she has been my co-producer since that walk. Wow.
Does she perform as well? Or was this something she hadn't done either?
No, she's the queen of the clowns. She's the one who keeps us in order. She's organized. She's lovely. She's fun. But she helps me we help each other with lineups, with venues, with all of that. So,
so how many comics do you have in the troupe now?
So we have over 80 women that are on our list. I have not used all 80 of them, especially at one time. That would be the longest comedy show on the planet.
Right.
But we have a showcase of either 3 to 5 of us, depending on the venue and the setup. And
who's available.
Yes, and who's available. I also have non-moms, so I have women. I mostly have moms on my show than non-moms, but my reasoning is, first of all, women are funny. Give them a chance. And 2, if you are a woman that feels like you're the office mom, or you're a dog mom, or you're a plant mom, if you've ever had to utter the words, do I have to do everything? You're a mom. So yes, you can be on our show. So yeah, that's how I do it.
Do you remember your first joke? I mean, the first joke you literally wrote down and said, okay, this is my material. I'm going to start here.
Honestly, Joe, I've been telling jokes my whole life. I've been an asshole my whole life. So I didn't even realize I wrote jokes.
Wait, you have to be an asshole to tell jokes?
Oh, yes. You have to have a lot of arrogance. Everybody is funny, right? You're always funny at a party, or you're always interesting at a party. You can always land a zinger, right? You tell jokes. Do you tell them for 5 minutes straight or 10 minutes straight? That's the question.
How long is your set typically?
Oh, it depends on the venue. So if you do an open mic, you're lucky if you get 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. And then in our show, I get anywhere from 14 to 25.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. That's a long time.
See, you're the only person that can understand that because you're a news person.
I understand the concept of time.
Because 25 minutes is even longer than an actual 30-minute newscast.
Well, I always wonder how comics remember all of it. I mean, does one story sort of take you and trip, the next joke? Or I just would be afraid that I'd get lost. Or have you practiced this material enough you know where you're going with it?
Oh, Joe, I'm shocked that people can remember it too, because I still sometimes have to bring a piece of paper out there because I'm like, wait, what's next? Well, the other thing is I'm playing around with order. So I'm trying to figure out what the flow is of the order. And it's really difficult because every show is different. So some shows I have 13, some shows I have 25. So you play along with the order to say, okay, if I was going to do an hour eventually on screen or something, what would it look like? So you're constantly saying what would flow into what. And then you also create new jokes on the way that also need to be included. And then you take other jokes out that you're like, maybe that's not as good as it could be. And that was fine a year ago. So it's a constant game. And you have to recognize the audience too. What are they laughing at?
Right.
What's playing with them? What can you grab from your back pocket that might not be on your sheet of paper that says, okay, I'm going to do this joke because that's what this crowd is.
You got a big break with the Kelly Clarkson Show. How did that come about? And I mean, you got a whole segment.
A big break
really?
Is to say
that
the least.
It for you?
Yes. And entirely. Like literally that story I said of my friend of walking with her happened in April of 2022. In May of 2022, we had our first PTA show. It was her PTA. Mm-hmm. And we said, let's have an event where you guys just do like a friends raiser or just a community event. Everyone pays. And we had like 65 people there. And it was a good show, but I was very green. And because I do public relations, happened to be friends with some people in the news. And this woman, Tamara O'Shaughnessy, who's amazing. She was the editor-in-chief of Chicago Parent. I said, come to the show. This should be something you like. She goes, actually, can you write me an op-ed of what it was like finding your voice at the age of 40-something? I said, sure. So I wrote it. She printed it in her July-August issue. I thought nobody read it because it's July-August and no kids are in school. And next thing I know, the week before Labor Day, I get a call from the Kelly Clarkson Show saying, we want to have you on our show.
Wow.
And I was like, excuse me, how did you find me? She's like, I read the article. I'm like, my mom didn't even read the article. What are you talking about? And then she kept asking me all these questions like, how have you changed these women's lives and blah, blah. I'm like, I literally had one show.
Wow.
So from there, she said, do you have another show coming up? And I'm like, no, because the PTAs aren't back yet to plan. So I called up a friend of mine who happened to have a contact at Zanies. And I said, listen, can you just give me a Wednesday or a Tuesday at Zanies? I will mention your name on the Kelly Clarkson Show, Zanies Comedy Club. Just give me a night. And we did it. And we sold 150 tickets. Wow. And then from there, it just took off.
And then, on the Kelly Clarkson Show, that you're sitting next to Jay Leno. He came into your dressing room, right? Or I
came to his, and let's be careful the way you say that.
That was a little
creepy.
Came
into your dressing room. Joe.
The whole thing was, you guys are sitting on a couch there. How did that go with Jay?
Interesting. It's, here's the thing. I had just started doing comedy a year before. Mm-hmm. And so I had a lot to learn. I think I had more of a business and marketing and PR mind still than the jokes.
Sure.
To be on the Kelly Clark, finally. Oh, I know exactly what podcast you were talking about before. Sorry.
This goes to pre-air before we started taping. Okay, now go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, because you were drinking whiskey.
Yes, we were drinking whiskey. Yes,
maybe
I know
that's
exactly
why you
what you're
don't
talking
remember
about.
it.
And he was the only one. This is the Lobo Den. He was the only one who actually asked me the real question, which he goes, were you shitting in your pants when you met Jay Leno? And I said, yes, thank you for asking. Because it is just like, I had no right to be doing comedy on a national talk show after only practicing comedy and practicing jokes for less than a year.
Right. At a PTA
they didn't
meeting.
let you fail. They don't let you fail on that show. And it was great. And they were so
you did
nice.
Great.
No, I did okay. Trust me, that was not my best performance. I am so much better now, and I keep improving every day.
Yes, absolutely. No, you can tell, but that's tough too when they say, okay, be funny, and you've got a minute and a half. That's a lot to ask, when you haven't really warmed up the audience or.
Right. And I maybe have a good 4 minutes of content, maybe at that point. Mm-hmm. And I had just talked to Jay Leno, who gave me an earful about the industry, and it was really overwhelming to hear all of this. And they're like, okay, now go on the air. And I'm like, I was like, what? What? But we had a really good time. And I got to introduce the world to two other incredible female comics who've been doing this for years. Yeah. Leah Berman, Colleen Brennan. And from there, we have just grown our roster. And we have Mo Good and Avril Granado and Lindsay Porter and all of these incredibly good comics. And I am so excited that I get to give them a stage and pay them. And they have talent and they should be recognized. And I think it's so cool. And I was about to say, men also like the show. It might be called Bad Moms of Comedy and have all women on the show. But I will tell you, women have been listening to men tell the yuck yucks for a really long time. Come on over to our side. Trust me, you will enjoy it. It's funny.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You, one of the reasons you got into this and did it was because when you went to a club, most of the comics were men, but most of the people in the audience were women.
If you look at any comedy club, half the people in the audience, sometimes more than half, are female. Yet the lineup on stage is maybe one or two women. And I thought, well, that's a disservice. And then it's mostly just men up there. So I thought, well, we've got something to say. And the fact that, I mean, let's face it, if you are a mom, you have a lot going on. And so to be able to go to a comedy show, you have to say to yourself, okay, I got to make sure the kids are fed. I've got to make sure everything is okay. I got to leave my house. I got to maybe find a babysitter. I've got to go there. I have to spend money. I have to park. I have to do all this stuff. We tend to make it easier on them by saying, you know what? We're going to come to your town. We're going to come to Glenview. We're going to come to Ottawa, Illinois. We're going to find a venue. You just come and have a good night. And so that's the other reason why we do it different, because we don't always do it at comedy clubs.
Yeah, well, that's the good thing for the comedy club, too. They can just bring you in and you take care of the whole night for them, or at least, 2 or 3 hours of it.
Yeah. No, it's a good time.
I love the business model. Yeah, it's great. Back to the husband-wife thing, I've found that Instagram has really capitalized on this. A lot of the content that I see, and I'm sure I get it fed to me because I click on it or watch it or whatever, but it's interesting to see these relationship content posts that everyone is dealing with. Like the other day, I saw this man climbing a mountain of like 500 pillows in a pillow factory. And it says me, taking the decorative pillows off my bed just to find the one I sleep with,
Promise me, Joe, you'll never send that to my husband, please. That would help our marriage just fine.
What is it about women and pillows? I don't get it.
It's not, well, we just don't want to be close to you. That's what it is. We just want to build a wall. That's the wall we really want to build. So just get off.
And then there's the, where do you want to eat? And I say, I don't know. How about here? Nah, I don't feel like that. Okay. Well, how about that? How about we go there? No, I don't want to go there. And then it's like, okay, how about if you tell me where you want to eat? Because I don't really care.
Right. And so every relationship has these isms. And so I was actually talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she goes, I love your jokes about your husband because I know you love him. Like, you're not making fun of him. You just, you get it. You've been together for such a long time. And it's so interesting when you have been with someone for so long, because you do have these isms in your relationship, even if you've been dating a year. But Joe, I mean, I'm sure you and your wife have isms that you guys throw around all the time that only you understand. And so, and I've had people say to me, they're like, we know so many comics who are just so unhappy in their marriage or they're divorced. You're actually happy. We want to know what that looks like. And it's not perfect.
Yeah,
we're silly and we make mistakes and we fart in front of each other and things like that. And so, and that's okay because that's life. And my
wife
I could help that.
She just gave me a birthday card, and in it
was it your birthday?
Yes, it was my birthday. And she said, you make my life better every day. And I thought, isn't that sweet? And then she said, when you go to work.
Right. Da-dong-dong.
Maybe she should be in the Bad Moms of Comedy. No.
She should be. Tell her to come on by. No, I have this new joke that says my husband travels for work. Yay.
Yeah. Yay. And then there's the nothing sets off a wife like seeing her husband sitting in a chair relaxing. That's when they find like 15 things for you to do.
See, that is the opposite in my house because my husband is the busybody. Yeah, I'm the lazy one. But it's because our schedules are different now. So he's more of a 9 to 5. I'm more night. So yeah, in the morning I'm always like, puttering around the house and he's like trying to get work done.
Well, it's so rare for me to sit down and actually just, relax and enjoy, the house and we live downtown. So the view is beautiful. So sometimes I just like to sit because I never get to do it, and of course I get it. There's a lot to do around here. So I can't sit for too long.
You can sit as long as you need to, Joe, because you need to recharge. That's the whole thing that we're talking about on this podcast, right? Is finding that moment of your life to say, where is my joy so I can take it into my life, into my job, with my kids, with my wife. No, she's good. She has stuff for you to do because, you're tall. You can reach things,
Well, thank you. I'm glad I'm worth something. So you have two kids, as you two or
three
three.
If you count my husband.
Okay,
yes.
I was waiting for that. But kids are just an endless supply of material, I would think. Did you have to sort of go back into we used to have a book where we would write down funny things the kids would say, and we still to this day laugh about it. One of my favorite stories was one of our daughters was, I don't know, young, probably like 6 or 7, old enough to know. And she walked into the bathroom. My wife was getting ready to go to the gym to work out, and she had a thong on. And our daughter looked at her and she said, "No offense, Mom, but that underwear is way too small on you." Kids always say no offense first, and then they say something that's just ridiculously offensive.
Oh, yes. And I do wish I wrote all of those down. So, first of all, that's great. And the fact that you just dropped that your wife wears a thong. Hot, Joe. Very nice. Most of us this age, we're just done. No, you don't wear a thong at the gym. That is just double torture.
Well, you can't have, what is it, panty lines or what? I don't know. Help me out here.
You can't have panty lines, but seriously, a thong. Have you ever, okay, I want you to go and do squats with something jabbed up your rear. Okay. Let's see you squat for 10. Okay.
The thong was invented by a man I saw too, right?
So ridiculous.
I'm sure a woman didn't invent that. There's
it
no way.
It looks like
right?
our ass ate our underwear. Okay, that's what a thong looks like. Anyways.
My 7-year-old figured that out.
Yes. So yes, my kids say very funny things. And now that they are 18 and 20, they continue to say very funny things. Here's the thing that I am very conscious of is I got into comedy as they were becoming young adults. And when you're a young adult, you're trying to figure out who you are, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't need to tell the audience who I think they are because I don't think that's fair. I think I only say so many things about them because I want the world to know who they are based on them. I know that sounds really altruistic. So anytime I have a joke about my kids, I ask them, can I say it on stage? My son does not care. He's like, yeah, that's good. Go for it. My daughter's like, no. She finally gave me one joke I could say on air.
What was it?
It's a little long. My daughter is at college and I'm scared she's going to come home Christian. We're Jewish. Her first night there, she said, I'm just making friendship bracelets with a bunch of girls. And I said, what Christian group is it? And she wrote back in all caps, I didn't know.
Well,
hey, I went to Purdue. I get it.
You can also use just the basic concept because I'm guessing a lot of the jokes you write and a lot of the things that you've gone through as a mom, everyone can associate with.
Right. Exactly. And the whole thing of how I didn't mean to, but my kid's first language was sarcasm. Totally my fault. Things like that. How also I have empty nester jokes that I've been an empty nester now for 3 months and I'm starting to think the mess in the house might be mine. I've been blaming them for a long time.
What else has changed now that you're an empty nester?
God, my house is so clean.
It is?
It is so much cleaner. Grocery bill, so down. Oh my gosh, they eat a lot. Kids eat a lot. What else? I realize I still have things to talk to my husband about, which I'm really excited about. I'm like, I thought we would run out of stuff by now.
Let's talk about constructing a joke because
I am not an expert, but I'll answer whatever questions I can give you.
I know, but if you get material and one of my favorite lines or two, especially about parenthood, was Cosby before we knew what we knew about Cosby. But, he used to tell the joke that when he was young, he thought his name was Damn It, and his little brother thought his name was Jesus Christ, Damn it, put that knife down, and Jesus Christ, get out of that tree. You can tell that joke a certain way, but, maybe you tell it one way and you think, oh, this would be funnier if I say this.
So it's funny that you say that, because that joke, 99%, I am sure, did not start off that way. It started off as a free write, things that my parents used to call me. Mm-hmm. And then you figure out how to put it in order and what kind of format it's going to have. I think you do this every day with the news, and your producers and your reporters do too. You get a ton of information and you have to figure out how to say it in 30, 60, 90 seconds, right? So It's the same thing with a joke. You have to figure out, where are the punches? Where's the facts? Where's the zing? What do people need to know? And jokes are like that as well. It's really a crazy art, because sometimes people want more of something and sometimes they want less. And so you have to play around with it. That's why open mics are so important for comics, because we'll write something down and then we have to perform it and say, okay, that hit, that didn't hit. Maybe I need more here. It is, I've never, can you imagine if you as an anchor had to go to an open mic to practice, be like, my name is Joe Donlon, and just saying it in the mic in front of people. And then they're like,
waiting. Yeah. You're waiting
right.
for the reaction. And do you have to worry at all about someone else doing this material? I mean, because you're talking about things, again, that a lot of people can relate with. Do you have to be careful in someone saying, hey, that was my joke or that was my material, and pretty much everything's been done? Is it tough to be original with some of this stuff?
No. I mean, okay. Yes, it can be tough to be original. And there are some people that steal jokes. I do not steal jokes. In fact, I have certain jokes that I have given away to people, and there are people that have given me jokes. So I couldn't use that. You go. Somebody gave me a joke about ovaries, and he's like, I'm a dude, take it. And I'm like, thank you. And
wow.
Then, but as far as
that's a big
material,
deal in the comedy world, isn't it? It
is a big deal of people stealing jokes. And because it's so prolific now. I mean, you can't turn around without seeing a comic doing something on TikTok or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. It's everywhere. So it can get in your brain.
Right.
As long as I do it from my perspective and my lived experience, I think it's fine. I think there are going to be times that jokes can feel like it has been done before, but there's always something a little new. How many comics have done jokes about being drunk?
Right.
It's not new, but it's their experience about being drunk. Or marital relations. People talk about sex all the time in comedy, but it's that perspective. So yes, the topic may be broad enough to have been done before, but your perspective should be unique. Is
this PG for you, or do you push the envelope with, some of the topics and issues, sex and language?
Yeah. We don't do politics just because I don't feel like that is something I want this to do.
Yeah.
My whole thing so when it comes to comedy, it's really an individual sport, right? These comics go up, they're like, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. And then that's them. And they do their thing and they get off the stage. I came into this very backwards. I wanted to start Bad Moms of Comedy. I wanted to showcase. I wanted to do some sort of community. I don't know. I know it sounds altruistic, but I just wanted to build this kind of community. Mm-hmm. Some people who are a part of Bad Moms are really into the community, and some of them are just like, thank you very much for the gig, and then they leave. My perspective of this is we are so fraught in this nation and in this world right now. We're constantly fighting and pointing fingers at each other and all of it, that I didn't want to bring that onto the stage. We're the Bad Moms of Comedy, not the Mean Moms of Comedy. Mm-hmm. We are here about giving you a chance to look at your neighbor next to you and say, oh, we have a little more in common than I thought, because we're both laughing at this. Or that happens in my house too. And so if I can do a little bit of that, then that's what I want to do. Give the women a shot. And even if you are born with the other chromosomes or whatever, just give them a shot. You might really enjoy it.
Sure. No, I think we need to hear, what that's why I think it's almost more, as much as women, I'm sure, enjoy the Bad Moms of Comedy, men, I'm sure, do as well, because
I get more men coming up to me after a show saying that was the best comedy show I've ever seen. And I know it's because they came in going, oh, this is going to suck. And they were like, oh, wait a minute. this is really funny because A, they could understand their wives better. They understand their daughters better. They're like, okay, this is not just me. It is really a good show. Women, comics that are good comics that are worth their weight, they write good jokes and they keep writing and they're good. So yeah.
You get to a point where you can work on your material as well. I'm guessing, because I know we went to a show in San Francisco. It was Rita Rudner, as a matter of fact.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and she just at the end of her set, she said, "Okay, listen, I'm working on this special for, I think it was HBO." And she said, "Let me just try some material out." And she literally had a notepad there, and she would say, "Okay, let me see. Yeah, okay, all right." And then she would tell the joke, and depending on how it did, she'd say, "Okay, scratch that one off." So we sort of got to watch her work, in action live.
Yeah. So I don't do it that way. What I will do is I will always try to throw one, especially if I have a long period of time that I have to perform, I will try to throw one joke in the middle that's new, just to see how it goes in the flow of it. And I don't want people to know it's new. But at the end, if it laughs, I go, that was new. That was good. And everyone's like, oh, that was so cool. I just saw that happen.
Right. So yeah, it's sort of a peek behind your curtain, at how you work. And as an audience member, that's interesting. You feel like you're part of the process.
Absolutely. And it may be that audience, I have a new tag based on that person that was sitting right there. And so, and I have had that. I have shouted out something like blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that's leadership skills. I'm like, and that is going in the book. Oh, okay. And so they want to have fun with you. Just don't heckle. I
was just going to say, do you deal with hecklers? You have to, right? You have to at some point.
Of course I deal with hecklers. Are you kidding me? Every day. Have you ever cooked for teenagers?
Jeez.
I do usually, I don't know. I get some hecklers. You get a lot of, I will say at our shows, it's not as much hecklers as really women that have just been overserved talking a lot. And you got to tell them just to shush, 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 shush.
Yeah, because you have to, it's probably a fine line. If you engage too much, then it becomes a distraction.
Can you imagine if you did the news outside on State Street, what kind of feedback you would get, Joe?
Oh, we get it. Trust me. We have our new street side studio. We see the middle fingers. We see the flashing. Yes, it's a little distracting. Yes.
So you get it in mime form.
Mm-hmm, yes. Right. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
where do you want to take this, Orly? Where does it go for you? I mean, do you get to a point where you're doing bigger houses, where you're traveling more now, right? You said you were taking the troupe to North Carolina and New York City.
Mm-hmm. We're going to New York City, North Carolina in 2025. We're still growing that. We've been to, we're going to go back to St. Louis City Winery. We've been to St. Louis, Indianapolis, Lafayette. I had to go back to my old stomping grounds.
The business plan's working for you then, all right? I mean, this can be your thing.
I think it's going to be my thing. I love being able to do this. I love being able to make people laugh. I see so many people every day that are just not happy and don't give themselves a break or don't laugh or are just so frustrated. And I just want to give them that outlet. And if I could do that, that's what I'm going to do.
Love it. Orly, thank you for the time. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast chatting with you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. My thanks to Orly. You can find more information and the tour schedule in a couple of places: Bad Moms of Comedy, that's moms with a Z, and ChicagoComedyWorks.com. We'll fire up season 2 in the new year. Actor Gary Sinise joins me for episode 1. I'll drop that the first week of January. I want to thank the management at CBS and CBS Chicago for their support of this project. Brian Griggs of Brian Griggs Productions provides all the editing and post-production work. Ellie Coder produces and edits the social media content. I'm most active these days on Instagram. You'll find me at Joe Donlon TV. Chicago vibraphonist Thaddeus Tukes created the original music. And yes, that's the legendary Bill Curtis lending his voice to the introduction. Again, happy holidays. Thank you for listening to Chicago Unscripted. We'll see you in the new year.